to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Amara and I am a yoga teacher. I have been teaching yoga full-time now for almost 3 years, and throughout I also have my own online yoga membership called the Soulshala, where I share all of my classes and I really have a really beautiful growing community there. I am also a yoga teacher mentor, so I help other teachers build their yoga business, because when I first started teaching yoga there really wasn't a lot out there about yoga business. So I've really found such a joy in learning more and now being able to share that. It's something I first started doing when I was leading yoga teacher trainings, and I just have such a passion for yoga business. So that kind of leads me into this video perfectly. So throughout those 3 years, I have had the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, and I've had moments where I've changed things, and I've had moments where I've really deepened my knowledge. And I thought that with all of the sort of wisdom I have collected over the past couple of years of teaching full-time, that I would make this video, because if anyone is following me on Instagram or has been following me on this channel, you may know that recently I moved from Dubai. So that was sort of the middle of last year. I moved from where I had started my yoga business, which was in Dubai, and me and my very lovely boyfriend relocated to London. And in that time where we were relocating, it really gave me an opportunity to in some ways start fresh with my yoga business. And it really got me thinking, if there were like 5 things that if I was starting all over that I would do if I was building a yoga business, what would they be? And I thought that I would create that in today's video. So today's video is going to be 5 things I would do if I had to start my yoga business all over again. Now, some of these things are things that I did and really worked out for me. Some of these things are things that I learned along the way. So with that being said, let's dive straight in to number 1. The first thing that I would do if I were restarting my yoga business today is getting clear on my core values and my soul students. Now, was this something that I did originally? Like, yes and no. I don't think I took it very seriously, and it wasn't particularly accurate at the time, because I don't feel like I was being really very honest with myself as to who I was as a teacher. So what do I mean by your core values? Your core values are, as a teacher, are really, really, really important. They're kind of the values of your business. And what's great about having a business in yoga is it's such a natural extension of who you are as a person, and it should be a natural extension of who you are as a person. Now, as yoga teachers, our job is to be really embodied in what we share and to almost like lead by example through what we share within our yoga classes. And getting clear on what your core values are really helps us to be a really seamless and easy way of teaching and a way of creating your business. So what I mean by core values is usually like 3 or 4 things that are really important to you as a teacher. They're things that you want to share with your community of students. And they should also be in alignment with the students that you are wanting to attract and the students that you're wanting to teach. And this is something that I talk about at length in my yoga teacher mentorship, where we really talk about what our core values and really how to use them. But I'm happy to give you a little bit of that here as well, in the sense of core values are things that are really important to you, things that you want to share. So examples of core values could be community, accessibility, it could be philosophy, it could be anatomy, it could be friendliness and approachability, it could be playfulness, it could be intuition, it could be compassion. These are all things that are core values for you as a teacher. And there are also ways that you might describe your teaching style. It's kind of how I describe core values as well. Usually 3 or 4 are a really great way to start. For those of you who have flowed with me before, you may sort of recognize some of my core values. So my core values as a teacher now, not originally. My core values originally, they've definitely grown and changed, which is also fine. But my core values now as a teacher are community. That's something that's so important to me. Also intuition. I create classes where people can really tap into their intuition and that more feminine side of the practice. Fluidity is huge. I'm a creative teacher, and I'm also really a fluid like vinyasa teacher when I'm teaching vinyasa. And that's also something that I like to bring into the rest of my business, is an element of flow and this element of fluidity and adaptability, which I really, really love. And the last little bit in there is the element of the soul. I'm a real like soul teacher. I love talking deeply to the soul within my classes, and I love really helping students on their kind of development of the soul, and that really links into the intuition and the more feminine side of the practice too. So those are my core values, just to give you an example. But I really think that with that being said, it really helps me to speak to the students that I love teaching as well. So knowing your core values are really important. That is definitely something I would do literally day one of starting a new yoga business is, what are your core values? Who are you as a teacher? Are they authentic to you or are they not? So if you, for example, something that wouldn't be particularly authentic to me as a teacher is wanting to teach in a very masculine way. That's not my way of teaching. I'm a really feminine teacher. That comes so naturally to me. That is one of my gifts. So why would I try and make it something else? So that's just a little bit of a hint there of really make sure it's authentic to you. Otherwise you will end up changing them. And that's why mine probably didn't stick the first time, because they weren't 100% authentic. So do try your best to really tune into it. Might be something that comes through in meditation for you. But that is the first one, is core values. Now, the next thing that I would do if I was restarting my yoga business is, and this is actually something I did, which I'm very grateful for, but is seek help. Stop trying to do it all on my own. Now, at first, it took me a while to realize this. I had this real thing about wanting to make it work on my own and wanting to figure everything out on my own. But the truth of the matter was, is I knew nothing about business. Like, I knew as much as I'd sort of like read and learned, but I didn't know enough about business to really know where to begin. And there came a point where I was like, you know what? I really want to seek help from people who I admire. So whether it be other teachers, and I did reach out to other teachers and get little bits of advice there. And to be honest, I would message a lot of teachers, like teachers I followed on YouTube, and just be like, do you have any advice? And sometimes they'd ignore me, and that was fine. But what's been really nice is that sometimes the relationships then created, like there's still people I message now, there's still people I chat to now, which is so lovely. There is such a lovely vibe. I feel like YouTube yogis are a lovely vibe. I'm here with you guys. I feel like we're a great vibe on YouTube, but that's another thing. But yeah, I think really seeking help, and for me, I'd say one of the biggest things that really catapulted my career in yoga and made things move so quickly is I sought out the help of a mentor and a coach. Now, I didn't have access to a yoga specific one because there just weren't that many around at the time. But I did still find the person that was just so perfect for me and really helped me to understand at least the business deeper, and the yoga I kind of figured out on my own. But again, that was kind of the reason why I now do the yoga teacher mentorship, because having the two things combined, I just feel like I wish I'd had that, and I feel like it's just so invaluable. So yeah, seeking help is a big one. You don't have to do it on your own, and it does make things move so much more quickly. So because rather than doubting yourself and rather than trial and error, you're getting it right first time. So also in a way as well, like I also personally feel like it's a really like cost beneficial way of doing it, especially in the way that I did it, where I was doing this full time, that I invested in myself so that I didn't spend months and months making mistakes and not then end up having the career and the business that I wanted. So I hope that that makes sense. The next thing I would do if I were starting my yoga business again, and I feel like this is the biggest one, and this is actually the biggest thing that I started implementing when I had my move recently and had a bit of restructuring within my work and my business, and this is focusing on ownership. And I feel like not enough teachers actually focus on this. And what I mean by ownership is, if all of your work as a yoga teacher is constantly feeding into something someone else owns, so if you're doing totally studio classes or totally workshops or doing teacher trainings, for example, that aren't your own and things like that, things that are feeding into someone else's dream, which are beautiful, there's nothing wrong with these, but I think especially when we first start teaching yoga and we first start our yoga businesses, there's definitely, like, from the new teachers I speak to, it's all about how can I get studio classes, how can I start teaching in studio, which is amazing. Studio is beautiful, it's a lovely space to teach in. However, one thing that I would say is you have no ownership over your studio classes, and this is something I wish I had started working on sooner within my yoga business, was creating things that I have ownership of and that I have total ownership of. So no matter what happens, they're fully mine. And if I'm moving, or if something were to happen, like a pandemic or something, obviously, hopefully not another one, but with things like this, I just think having ownership is so unbelievably important. So whether that be through an online membership, or whether that be through the own events that you run and you rent a space, I just really feel like having ownership in a yoga business is so important. Something I wish I'd worked on sooner. My absolute priority now within my yoga business, without a doubt, because having ownership over your income, it's the reason that people go freelance. It's the reason that people start a business. And I feel like sometimes that gets lost in the middle of everything else we do as yoga teachers. But I really think if there was one bit, like the one bit of advice I could give, it would really be having ownership of your yoga business. And for that reason, I feel like that's a lesson that I kind of learned along the way. I wish someone had told me earlier, and it's something that I spent a lot of time sort of creating and learning about, and I'm really excited to be able to also share that in the next yoga teacher mentorship, because I just feel like it's so valuable for whether you're a new teacher, whether you are a teacher just wanting to, I guess, kind of up level your career and your business. Ownership is key. Having an ownership, creating a brand, having something that is your own is so powerful in your work as a yoga teacher. So yeah, that is my next one. Moving on to, I think this is my fourth. Yeah, I think we're at four. The fourth thing I would do if I was restarting my yoga business, I did this at the beginning as well, loved it. The fourth thing I would do if I were to restart my yoga business is get a deep understanding of the energetics in business. So a lot of these business books that you read are often written from a very masculine perspective of business. We live in a very patriarchal society where we're really told there's only like one masculine way to run business, which is a lot of force, working a 9 to 5, like really making it fit into that corporate sort of vibe. Whereas I guarantee, like, if you are wanting to move away from your 9 to 5 or your current sort of job that doesn't fulfill you, why are we then recreating that in our yoga business, right? Like, the reason you're leaving your job is because it's not fulfilling you and it's not suiting you. So the aim is to not recreate that in your yoga business. And it would be a crying shame to just create that same feeling of burnout and push and force in a business that's meant to bring you so much joy. So understanding how to create a more feminine business, and a business that is really tuning into the energy and the vibration. This is yoga, right? We talk about energy, we talk about vibration, and understanding how to attract abundance in your business through energy and through magnetism, and understanding how you can create magnetism and abundance within your brand, and how you can use energy to connect with your students so much deeper. This is like magic. This is key, and I'm really glad I took the time to understand this at the beginning. I'm someone who's was always very open to these things, and I just knew coming into, I tried some of the masculine business stuff and I was like, this doesn't feel right. This feels icky, this feels pushy, and this is not who I am as a person. I'm an inherently very feminine person, so the masculine business model just did not suit me, especially in a business that is my own and gets to be anything I want it to be. So really tuning into how to run a more feminine business and how to use energetics to my advantage, and like the difference between like desperation versus attraction, and having opportunities flow to me fluidly, which I know sounds crazy, but like it happens when you're in alignment, and when you've worked on the energy of your business, it gets to be effortless, and work just finds you, and it's easy and it's fun and it's enjoyable. And that is just such a huge thing that I would 100% do again if I were to restart my yoga business. So yeah, that's a big one. And the last thing that I would do if I were restarting my yoga business tomorrow would be actually call myself a business. And you would not know how long it took me to actually see little old me teaching yoga as my business, rather than like, I'm a freelancer. You don't give yourself enough credit if you say you're a freelancer, because the reality is you're doing marketing, you're doing invoices. That's another thing I probably do, is be a little bit more on top of my invoices. Add that as like the bonus sick, be on top of your invoices. But going back to like, you're doing invoices, you're doing marketing, you're doing scheduling, you're planning classes, like you are a business, right? And through saying that you're a freelancer, all you're doing is actually downplaying what you do. And something that is very sort of prevalent for people who are, for yoga teachers, right, is that people quite often don't take our work seriously, right? They think that we're sort of floating around teaching yoga, hippy dippy, which, yeah, there is part of that. We love a hippy dippy vibe, but the truth of the matter is, if you want a career in yoga, You need to understand business, and you are running a business, and you are creating a business and building a business. And the minute I shifted in my mind to, I'm not just a freelancer floating around teaching yoga for a year, I am creating a long-term sustainable career and business in yoga, I took myself so much more seriously. I put things down as business cost. I invested in my business rather than being like, investing in my yoga teaching. No, I invested in my business. I put things aside and was able to just take myself more seriously. And then once I was taking myself more seriously, people around me started to respect what I was doing more and started to take me more seriously in my work. The opportunities that then found me were of a far different caliber than when I was thinking of myself as a freelancer. So I think that's such a simple mindset shift that you can do to really allow yourself to step into this different higher level teacher as well. So that's definitely something I should have done from day one, and it's something that obviously I still do now, and it's something I really now have stepped into. Now, with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that those sort of 5 bonus 6 tips that I gave you for starting your yoga business, or if I were to restart my yoga business, have been helpful. And I definitely would say that these are things that I have re-put into place when I had a bit of a change and a bit of a rebuild and a rejig of my yoga business, which I was so grateful for. What an opportunity that was, even if there were moments that were feeling quite overwhelming. I am so grateful that I took the time to do that, and just feeling all the joy in how things feel now. With this being said, if you are someone who's wanting to build a yoga business, or maybe make a transition from whatever job you're doing now into yoga teaching, and you want some guidance on your way, the next cohort for the Yoga Teacher Mentorship is now open. We start on the 4th of February, but if you're watching this much later on, I do have ongoing cohorts for this. So if maybe you've missed this cohort and you want to join another one, just pop me a message. But if you are looking for guidance and support for creating a sustainable yoga career and yoga business that has ownership and has career development and is something that can light you up for years to come, the Yoga Teacher Mentorship could be a really perfect fit for you. So I'm just going to put the link down below. And if you want to flow with me online, my online membership is Soul Shatter. Again, it will be linked down below. But otherwise, I'm sending you so much love, so much light, and I can't wait to catch up with you in my next video here.